الممثلة الموقرة لأفغانستان.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mr. President, let me begin by thanking the UN General Assembly for holding this very important high-level meeting on the occasion of the 30th anniversary of the Convention on the Rights of Child, which this year it also coincides with the world's Children's Day. As it said, it's truly a time to demand actions and a time for every child to have every right. Unfortunately, despite long history of this very important convention, across the world, children still suffer the pain of losing their parents and their lives in conflict. They still long for a peaceful and equitable childhood. For the safety and better opportunities, they still take the longest and the most dangerous route of refuge. They still demand equal protection and equal rights. Mr. President, since the adoption of the Convention, the dynamics and the severity of the challenges that millions of children are faced globally have profoundly changed. Our societies are affected by armed conflicts, internal displacement, climate change, transnational terrorism, and criminality. In Afghanistan, too, children are among the most vulnerable social groups. Protecting them is a national security priority and a human rights commitment that we have towards our children. In the last decade, as a party to the convention, the government of Afghanistan has allocated its institutional and legal resources to draft, approve, and endorse a series of legislation and national action plans to safeguard children and protect their rights. As a responsible government and state, we are obliged to create an environment conducive to the social, physical, and mental well-being of our children. On education, we have developed the National Education Strategic Plan to expand access to equitable education and increase primary and secondary school enrollments. We have also adopted the Safe School Declaration to shield children from the effects of conflict. Today, more than 9 million children, including the 3.5 million girls, are going to school, some with utmost bravery in the face of threats from the Taliban and other militant groups who oppose women and girls' education. On the push to end child labor, we have made considerable progress. Our national child labor strategy provides the legal foundation to combat child exploitation in the labor force. We have launched nationwide training programs, public awareness campaigns, and have taken preventive measures to practically eradicate child labor by 2030. Mr. President, part of the vulnerability of the Afghan children in conflict zones is due to indiscriminate use of human shields by the Taliban. The conduct of war in residential areas endangers the lives of children. Our security forces are repeatedly instructed and educated to preserve the core principle of conducts of war in accordance with the international humanitarian law, as well as the modern ethics and moralities of war, in order to prevent civilian casualties, including children and their operation. However, the terrorist groups, especially the Taliban, have no such boundaries or any international and national commitments to follow. From this international platform, it is important to make a call upon Taliban to stop using children in civilian compounds as shields, and they must stop killing innocent children. For instance, last week, a suicide blast took the lives of 12 people, including 3 children in Kabul. Among those with 2 children from a single family, brothers and sisters. The night before the attack, the family had celebrated the 7th birthday of one of their child who was killed in the attack. This is the story of children in Afghanistan, and also the story of many other children across the world that loses their life as a result of protracted conflict and due to terrorist attacks. Our shared meaning, the member states at the UN, our shared commitment and our joint pledge is needed more than any other time in our history to help the full implementation of our obligation under the Convention on the Rights of Child. Afghanistan renews its pledge to the Convention, is an engaged member of the United Nations. We will do our utmost to advocate and take necessary action in order to ensure the safety and security of every child in Afghanistan, and to provide them the necessary means and resources for the protection of their rights. Thank you.
أشكر الممثلة الموقرة لأفغانستان وأعطي الكلمة الآن